Yeah, got this movie called Pain Hustlers. It's got Emily Blunt in it, Chris Evans, and Andy Garcia. So let's get it rocking. So we got this chick by the name of Liza. She's driving a car. She's going to the strip club because she's supposed to be working there. All of a sudden, she meets this dude by the name of Pete. They get to talking. Pete gives her a card. Eliza gets a call from Nikki, who we find out she's actually living with her best friend or something like that. Says something about her daughter Pheobe was messing up at school. Now, what exactly did she do? Her and a couple of friends were off school grounds. They were lighting firecracker pellets or something like that, almost causing a forest fire and shit. Bottom line, Pheobe got suspended from school for a week. Apparently, Eliza and her daughter Pheobe not only was chilling there, there's also Eliza's mom there too. He was like, what the fuck? The problem is Eliza hasn't been bringing in no money and like that. Bottom line is Eliza ends up kicking her out. They end up kicking Eliza out and Pheobe goes about her business. But she's still letting her mom stay there. So now Eliza and Pheobe living in this rundown hotel. They're like motel apartments or whatever like that. So they're pretty much down their luck. Phoebe's father, Randy, you know what I'm saying, keeps calling Eliza, trying to figure out what's going on. The thing is, Phoebe doesn't want to stay with Randy and the stepmom, you know what I'm saying? She thinks they're basically assholes. So with no choice, she ends up calling Pete. Now, what exactly does Pete do? He sells people in a product to different pharmaceuticals for doctors and whatnot. Now, the thing is, the company hasn't been making that much money, but they are sponsored by this millionaire by the name of Jack. Now, they're trying to get this drug out the market called Lonafen. And it's a drug basically meant for like cancer patients and stuff like that. So if they're going through certain types of pain, Lonafen breaks it down to the point where you don't feel as much pain with it. The thing they don't tell you is a very addictive drug. So the thing is, Liza comes in for the job, whatever like that. Pete gets her in the office. She talks about all the jobs she used to do, whatever like that. She was able to give up her company to give to her ex-husband, Randy. And that's how he was able to live so well. So basically what Pete does is this. He gets to her resume, erases that shit, then puts in that she was like a biochemist and all this other stuff. And I'm like, the fuck? He sells this pitch to Jack. And she's basically hired for the time being if she could get some clients to, or doctors to prescribe to this medicine or whatever like that. So the thing is, she goes to a whole bunch of different doctors with the sales pitch, but they ain't buying. They ain't budging. See, the thing is, when it comes to relief medicine, everybody's pitching out fentanyl, you know what I'm saying? Opioid crisis and shit like that. Nobody's messing with Lonafen. Down on her luck, she comes back home, sees Phoebe playing with the neighbors and whatnot, playing catch and shit. And all of a sudden, Phoebe just falls out. Turns out she's having a seizure. We're like, oh shit. So apparently she's had these seizures before. She went to a doctor. Now the thing is, they couldn't figure out what the problem is. He's figured it out. So she didn't really have a tumor. I think it's called like an ASMR or something like that. Now the doctors say it shouldn't happen again, at least for like another 6 months. But if it does, come in and check them out. You know what I'm saying? We could figure out this situation. But at this point, it's going to take either 2 types of surgeries to remove whatever it is. Like they could either go through the brain or do the tube through the nose. But bottom line, it's going to cost more through the nose. And on top of that, Liza doesn't even have insurance to cover it. So basically, she's been trying to do all this hustling with all these doctors. None of these doctors are even thinking about it. So at this point, she's thinking it's best because her ex-husband's got money, whatever like that. And she's going to take Phoebe to her father, Randy. But Phoebe doesn't want to go there. All of a sudden, Pete calls Liza. She tells him the situation. He's like, nah, fuck that. You still got to at least get somebody. You know what I'm saying? We already paid you a little bit of commission to get this popping. So basically, Liza doesn't want to get sued or whatever like that. She goes back to the original doctor that she went to at first. She didn't even know what kind of pitch she could throw. She was just like, I'm going to just sit here for 15 minutes just to make sure I actually came back and they can know. Because they've been tracking her. They've been GPSing and all that shit. So she goes into the room, whatever like that. The doctor's dealing with this patient or whatever. Now, the thing is, this patient he's visiting is a military vet, whatever like that, right? Now, the thing is, he's seen all types of wars and situations going on. But he's also developed some stage of cancer. I think he's in like stage 2 or something. Now, the thing is, he's got sores in his mouth, too. So he's been taking this lollipop. I think it's like some fentanyl lollipop, whatever like that. But the thing is, he's got this prescription for this Lonafen or whatever like that. He's like, I want to see if I can switch to that. So they're like, all right, cool. He ends up switching to that and he's feeling better. You know what I'm saying? So the doctor's going to write the recommendation of the strength of Eliza. So Eliza goes back to the job, tells Pete the situation. They look it up in the documents. It's all official. So now they got to set up these speaker programs. Now, what are speaker programs? Is when they get the doctors together, they talk about prescriptions. They hold these lectures or whatever like that, and they go on the cruise and have their fun. And then the doctors sign on with the prescriptions. Now, the thing is, Pete's company ain't got the money like that. So they basically got to set it up the meeting in this auditorium or whatever like that. The thing is, nobody showed up. Half the doctors didn't show up. Half the doctors are just like, they don't even know if they want to be in on it. And now she's going around trying to find people that are going to sign up for the seminar. She ends up finding like gynecologists and other doctors of that nature, whatever like that. So she's only got about 2 or 3 of these dudes. The first doctor she went through, Dr. Ernest, comes in for if he feels kind of silly or whatever. She talks him into to get him back in there. He starts talking to people. Then more people start showing up. Next day, we find out he signs on to it, more recommendations or whatever like that, and now she's getting some cheese. Now, Pete and Liza got to get a team together. They get a team of women together that want to be part of the team, whatever like that, but they think they have their own things to worry about. The majority of them coming from the same backgrounds that Liza came from. A couple of these women do have their own doctors that they see, so basically they just got to mark their territory. And Liza's a great motivational speaker. She's gonna speak up for the troops. Now the thing is, the other woman that happens to come into here happens to be Eliza's mom. They're like, really? Now at one point in time, Eliza's car broke down and the mom gave her the pink caddy so she could continue on driving. Because she still had her car. Now Eliza's mom in the movie is the same person that played the mom in Beetlejuice, the mom in Home Alone. She was in the movie Killers with Ashton Kutcher. Bottom line, you get the point. They got their team together, they selling Lonafen, they get hand over fist, the company's growing and all that. Now this nigga Brent been hating on their success, right? Because the thing about Brent, he don't like taking risks. He like staying in the status quo. He thinks they're going above and beyond their means to try to pull this stuff off. But the company's successful and they haven't done nothing illegal. Not yet. But this is how much Brent really hating. He about to snitch on got it out of him and Liza. So he tells Jack, he goes to the file, was like, hey, yo, bottom line is, she ain't got no credentials. She came from stripping. She's never been in the pharmacy unit. And on top of that, she ain't got no degrees or nothing. The thing he didn't expect is, Jack don't give a fuck. Jack promotes Eliza and Pete for turning the daggone company around. Jack ends up firing Brent. But little does Brent know this is going to turn out to be a blessing in disguise for him. They selling more than Lonafen and it's getting popping all over the place. His bottom line is helping people out during their cancer problems. Their slogan is pain is pain. And they're trying to give pleasure to that pain. So Lonafen is not a cure at all. It just takes away the pain while you're dealing with it. The problem is Lonafen is supposed to be off the grid while fentanyl is on the grid. Well, technically fentanyl is supposed to be off the grid. But this one chick got caught boosting it or whatever like that. FBI was on that ass quick. But apparently they got to stay in the 65 to 67 range. You know what I'm saying? If they go up higher a little bit, 70. But bottom line is you get in that 80 range, them niggas looking. So it got to a point Liza's making all this money. She gets her mom this daggone truck, to pay her mom back. She got herself a nice little penthouse with her daughter Phoebe. And everything's all good for the time being. Then when she went back to the spot, all of a sudden the boss started getting weird. Jack started talking about, hey, you got to take your shoes off when you in here. It's an $80,000 floor, da-da-da-da. Then they all had a meeting, and they had a meeting with this dude, Eric, too, right? Now, Eric's been around for the duration. The thing was, he was talking in the meeting, and we're like, why is he talking so slow? Then Pete snatched him up, and he was like, oh, he recording on phones. This nigga trying to snitch? See, the thing is, Eric didn't technically snitch. He was like, protected his assets just in case the shit fell backwards. So the thing is, they did fire him, but not before he cashed out. This nigga made $32 million and dipped out. So technically, he didn't snitch. Nobody said nothing, but bottom line is, they fired him. He got his money, and he dipped the hell on out. Now he's in like Argentina somewhere or some shit. Then we see Eliza is looking at things, and she's seeing the effects of Lonafen. Turns out, she thinks it's killing people if you take too much of it. But the thing is that people don't know if they take it too much because the doctors are prescribing it. A good reason why it's probably off the grid. So Pete and Liza have a meeting with Jack, who doesn't even come into the office anymore at this point. He's basically in his house chilling. They talk about trying to boost up the market sales and stuff like that, but the problem is this particular drug is supposed to stay off the market. So if they start doubling up on prescriptions, that could be a fucking problem. So Eliza's trying to find a way around this shit, right? And while she's doing that, everybody's having these parties or whatever like that. And Pete's talking to Eliza, talk about this thing, if she could flip this commission within like a year, she'll make damn near $60 million. Because of how successful they're doing. They went from a bargain basement spot to like the #1 drug seller in the country. Once again, they gotta do it under the market because niggas is looking. They don't want the feds on their ass. But like he said, she can't cash out unless it's like a year in. Now at this point, she's been in there for like 6 months. Now at this party, Eliza's mom starts dancing with Jack. They end up smashing and getting the business. Jack ends up dipping out the next day. I'm like, nigga. But Eliza's mom is cool with it. She don't care. After the party, Eliza's mom is telling her daughter about the stuff with Jack. She's like, I don't want to hear this shit. Like, cool, really? Eliza and her mom end up having a falling out. After Phoebe's on stage and she has another seizure, we're like, oh shit. Now the doctor says she could wait a couple more weeks for having surgery, but his professional opinion, he's like, you shouldn't wait. So without a whole lot of time, she got to come with some extra money. Now the thing is, she saved over $239,000, but she still needs like $450,000. That's how much it's going to cost to get the surgery done. So with no alternative, she goes to Jack. Jack and Pete are talking about this increasement and all this Lonafen sales and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, you're going to get yourselves fucked. Now at this point, she's basically turning to Jack to see if she could borrow $450,000. But he tells her, look, man, time of crisis, you got to use your ingenuity. You know what I'm saying? You know you can do this. You could beat this. So basically, she knows she ain't getting the money from Jack. So now she's got to figure something out. And this is when she got this heated argument with her mom. And her mom dips out and ends up going back to her best friend's house. Then we find out Dr. Ernest. We found out he's been doubling doses on patients or whatever like that because they're feeling so good about this Lonafen because he's got a lot more patients coming in for the Lonafen, prescriptions. He's been doubled down on it. Then this lady comes in and punches him in his face. He's like, what the fuck? Turns out her husband died. The one that was a military vet? Yeah. Apparently, he was getting more of the doses than his body could handle. And he's got another patient that he's about to subscribe this stuff to. He ends up giving a subscription. Turns out this patient was after the police and they ended up arresting his ass. I'm like, oh shit. This is like the main doctor Eliza was always leaning towards. Yeah, so that's a problem. All right, so the reason and thing about Lonafen and why it's a low market product is because it's only supposed to be used on stage 4 cancer patients. And the reason why they said it was a 1% chance of dying from it is because most people are already dead before taking it, or they were already in the process of dying. It was not meant to be given to anybody else other than stage 4 cancer patients. The problem is they be giving it to people with like stage 2, stage 1, people that had different type of diseases. The problem is this is a type of prescription you get hooked on. It does crazy stuff to your insides. Now we go back to this flashback of the veteran. Right when he was feeling good off this stuff, we found out he was actually a car salesman. While he was making a sale, he was feeling sick, and then all of a sudden he coughed out some of his teeth. It was at that point that same day he died. The problem is Jack, and these motherfuckers are saying it's not their fault that these people have died. And the problem is they're trying to boost up sales with this shit, knowing what could happen to these patients. And at this point, Elijah's conscience is kicking in, especially when she finds out about when she goes back to the apartments or whatever. She found out Camilla's husband was on that shit too. One that was playing outside with Phoebe when they was living in the motel apartments. She gave her daughter back the blanket that she gave her a long time ago. We found out at that point that Camille's husband was dead. So it's gotten to the point where she's about to testify herself against these niggas. Against Pete and Jack. But here's the problem. She could probably get Pete because they're about to do a seminar or whatever like that. She's been hanging with Pete the whole time. The problem is they're trying to get Jack. Jack doesn't go to the office no more. He doesn't get no call. He doesn't get calls. He gets emails through other people that get good through them. So basically, he's not touching none of this shit. So her even going through with this is crazy. But if she does this, she believes that she won't get any jail time. Or maybe she believes she'll get less jail time because she is a part of this shit. But she only did this after finding out Dr. Ernest got arrested. So she goes to a seminar with Pete or whatever like that. And Pete has got this document in his jacket or whatever like that. But he's got to put on this like suit or whatever. He's going to do this like little promotion. So while she's there watching the promotion or whatever like that, he's pretty much finished what he had to do, whatever like that. But then he sees her leave. And I'm thinking to myself, where she's going? She goes in the back of the dressing room, gets the document, and she's about to leave out, right? But right before she gets to the car, all of a sudden Pete appears. And he's like, where are you going? He's like, man, I got to go take care of my daughter. She's sick, this, that, third. He's like, all right, make sure she's okay or whatever. But Pete knows something up. He ended up snatching her purse or whatever like that, pulling the document. And he's like, the fuck? Basically, he found out she's snitching too. And the document would have got him done deal. The crazy thing is, she didn't need the document. She had already recorded him, you know what I'm saying? So Pete is already implicated. The thing is, she was trying to get the document to try to get Jack implicated. Didn't happen. Because she can't take the fact that they're killing people. Well, not technically, but, you know. So Jack says, he's going to calm down Pete. He's going to make sure everything's all good. This, that, and the third. Now, Pete was smashing one of the secretaries he had hired. And on top of that, they having a baby together, which they already had a baby after like a couple months. We found out Liza somehow got the money for Phoebe's operation, whatever like that. Everything went all good, successful, and now she's good and gravy. Afterwards, she made up with her mom. Everything's right with the world. FBI bust down and break open Pete's door. I guess they went to Argentina and ended up finding Eric. Eric and Pete do anywhere between 1.5 to 3.5 years in jail. Now, the thing is, they couldn't get any information on Jack until Liza made it with her mom. Mom was saying that her and Jack were sharing things together, and they had he had some emails or whatever like that. So they print up some emails, find those. That's the information they got on to take down Jack. Next thing you know, Jack's swimming in his pool or whatever like that. Feds come through and they get Jack. Jack ends up doing about 5.5 years in jail. 5.5. Eliza tries to plead her case and everything like that, and the judge has sympathy for her, but bottom line is you were part of the ringleaders of this shit, so bottom line is you getting 1.5 years too. But it turns out she got off on good behavior because 15 months later, her and her daughter and her mom are selling all these different types of industrial creams or whatever like that. Basically facial products. And half of the people that she hired at the company are doing that with her too. And now she's making an honest living. The end. Man, this movie was off the chain, yo. Then we found out through that period of time with people trying to sell fentanyl or whatever, FBI cracked down on a couple of high-priced top company reps or whatever like that. They got them niggas too. Pain Hustlers on Netflix. Check it out.